She said, I have my own things. Okay, I gotta press one here. I'm amongst my things, all my things. I have my own sitting room. So that's how I was feeling. I was like, I'm amongst my things. I can move things around the way I want to. So it's so funny. And of course, we were greeted when we got off the plane. Oh my goodness, was it last night, night before last? Night before last. Last night? Oh my goodness. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. We had a 3 hour delay and we were only a 2 hour drive away. But, we just sat and waited. And then when we walked off the plane, the humidity hit like you would not believe. I was like, okay, we're back in Charleston. The humidity is real. And so, but it's good. It's good. This is where I want to be. I like the water, and being close to the water. And I like the greenery and the trees. In Arizona, it was red rocks, red rocks, red rocks. It was beautiful. Even in our backyard, that's all you saw was the whole just red rocks. And I asked one person who's lived there for 10 years, I said, what is that area called? And they went, I don't know, outskirts of Page, I guess. And so you can't really call it the desert, but I guess it was the desert because it was very dry. But the rocks were gorgeous. They were red and white and all these different colors. So it was a nice thing to see. The last thing we saw was the Horseshoe Falls. So we managed to take some time here and there and vacation for a day or a couple hours or whatever. But we were so exhausted from working, we'd go out to see one thing, and then it was, okay, enough of that. Let's go back to let's go back to the house so we can relax. So it was fun. I was excited. I actually lost some weight from running back and forth and not eating. So I came home and I said, oh my goodness, I don't want it back. So I'll make sure I get out and walk, and I make sure I watch what I eat. I bought berries and just fruit. I said, I'm gonna watch what I eat, and because the food here is good. That is no doubt that the food here is good. And when Rick and I first came, we were on our quest to find the best restaurants, right? And there is a lot of them. So just we're gonna stop that quest to try to find the best restaurant and kind of keep everything like it should be. But we had a great time, and it's nothing like being home. I have stories upon stories upon stories where I literally can probably write a book within that 2 months, 8 weeks to the day. We got there on the 9th of May, and we went into work on May 10th, and we literally flew out of there on June 10th. So that was 8 weeks, 2 months to the day. And I used Rick's birthday as a reason to leave. I was trying to think out how is my brother gonna accept my reasoning for leaving. So I put it on Rick. I went, he's been really a good sport with me being here. For his birthday, I really think my gift to him will be that he can sleep in his own bed. So that was my reasoning for getting up out of there, because it is a business, and constantly you will always have things happening. I mean, up until the day that I was leaving, getting on the plane, my brother is calling me, sis, what's this? People want to know what this is. What's this? I said, they all volunteered. They all said yes for the insurance. And now they're seeing this dollar amount that they think should be theirs. No, that's the federal government paying for the insurance. That's not yours. So that was on my way out. My brother runs to the airport because it's small. So he was able to come to the airport to say bye. And he was like, sis, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And my thing is, they're saying no to something they don't want to do. They don't even know how the program works. And so then I said, forget it. I don't want them bugging my brother, blah, blah, blah. And then Rick made a great point. he said they don't even know what they're saying no to, because I actually broke it down to him in the airport and I was explaining to him how it works. And he said, that's a great program. I went, it really is a great program, but they're saying no to what they don't know. And it was really great for him to say, let the people who put the program in place keep them, explain it to them. And that's what I did. I gave them phone numbers that they can call, emails. If you want to opt out through this email, if you want to know about the program, call this lady. And it was a great feeling because it is a really great insurance program, and they can stay in it or they can get out. And that was a good feeling of, as opposed to me wanting to get everybody's name and just take them all out, because some of the people want it, some of the people want it. And it was only a few, I won't even call them a name, that was not being whatever. So, you always have bad actors. That's what I'll call them. You always have bad actors, no matter what you're doing. There's always somebody, some people who, for no apparent reason, just want to mess up stuff. I mean, that's just the way life is. And in his business, he's going to have those people. It would be great if we could just do a whole clean house and only people that are for him, only people who want blah, blah, blah. But that's just not how the world works. Wouldn't it be great if we can just design our world and get rid of bad actors and only keep the people that are for you, are for this, y'all have the same goals and dream? Whoo, that's a serious Pollyanna, Cinderella, looking at glasses through gold color or rose color, and it's just not happening. That's just not how the world works. Everybody doesn't win, and you have to be able to understand that is how it works and move on. So I realized that I've done all that I could do, and it's time to move on. And that's how we with Surge 365 have to realize, when you're working with people and you've done everything that you can to help them see the business, to help them understand, to show them how they can do this, to show them where they can get training. You take time, you call them up, then they start ghosting you. Then, 3-4 months later, life hits them and they say, oh, I want to save my $99. Well, you forget all the tax write-offs you can have, all the different things that you can now have because you have your own business. And if you don't realize that, if you don't do those kind of things, well, then you're just out of luck. It's pretty sad. But you just thank God that you're able to move on and do what you need to do. You realize you can't waste a lot of time with people, because a lot of times people don't want to change. They like where they are. And even though you might say, oh, come on, with Surge 365, you can change your family's financial future. Just talk to people. People are traveling. Even on the plane that we were on, the first one coming out of Page was Contour, a little small jet plane. It had 25 people on it. Even that was filled because it probably only seats 35 people, And then we get to Phoenix and the plane is packed. There was no seats. The plane was packed. We get to Charlotte and the plane is not moving because the airline pilots are stuck in Charleston. And at first I thought they were at the airport. The lady said they're on their way. And I'm like, oh, they might be at the hotel. And then she comes back and says, they're at the Charleston airport and they're flying in. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, but it's only a 30-minute, 40-minute flight. But we had to wait for them to fly in so they could fly us back. And every time the plane was packed, people waited, some not so patiently, but they waited. because they knew in order for them to get from point A to point B, they have to wait. And so one airline was packed out. The next last flight that we were on wasn't that packed. So we were able to kind of spread out and take the 3 seats. But it's only because the people knew that they could get on the other flight leaving an hour earlier. And Rick and I were just sitting back, relaxed, and just relaxing. We were not even thinking about, oh, let's get another flight earlier. You know, my father, like a trooper, came and picked us up 2 o'clock in the morning, brought us home, and we're here. But the whole time, the airport is packed. People are going everywhere. So you might be seeing the little mishaps that are happening, and people are like, oh no, I'm not flying. It's crazy. Not when we fly, we get where we have to go, and we come back. And nothing missing, nothing lost. You figure our luggage went to 2 stops because coming out of that small town, you have to go to the bigger place, which was this Phoenix, for the one we took. And then, of course, Charleston is no, it's not as small as Page, but it's a small, even though it is an international airport, I still haven't figured this out. They do have some direct flights, but we had to go to Charlotte to fly here. So it ended up being a two-stop deal, but 9 hours, which is not bad. But because of the time change, it felt like a whole nother day. But that was our little dilemma, getting home. So I thought I would share it with everybody. But it was definitely interesting, and it's nothing like being home. And of course, even in the midst of all that, we make the leaderboard because Rick was still working. You know, he was still working all the different things that he's doing, along with his Surge business, bringing people on. And that's what you have to do. You just have to make it work. And of course, our accommodations were nice, but it's nothing like being in your own place. And then my brother let us, and then he goes, oh, I'm going to get me another car once you guys leave. I said, oh, you should have did that before we got here. But no, it was a nice little BMW 2-seater, and we got to enjoy playing around with it with the top down and all those different things when we went different places. And of course, he treated us to a very, very nice birthday for me, where we got to see, we stayed at the Cosmopolitan looking over the Bellagio's fountain. And we got to go see Janet Jackson. So he bought me tickets to go see Janet Jackson, what was nice. And then for my birthday, I was able to eat at this really nice restaurant. It didn't overlook the strip the way I wanted to, but we ended up going inside anyway because it was hot. So, but it was a very nice restaurant, LPM or something like that, called, right in the Cosmopolitan. And the food was good, and we got to laugh and talk, and that's what it's all about. You know, it's just enjoying where you are, having fun where you are, and making it work no matter where you are. And that's what we were able to do for this time. And it's all in place now. And I'll still be able to do work for him over Zoom, phone, internet, and that's fine. The physical part of me actually being there, it's over. But the the part of me still working with him, I don't think that's over. But it's okay, because at least now I'm in my office where I'm comfortable and I can do what I want when I want. I don't have to have somebody, okay, we need you up front. Oh, we're getting really busy right now. Oh, we need you. And even when I walked in there, I kept saying, no, I don't want to learn anything because I'm not staying. No, I don't want to learn anything because I'm not staying. But it was easy to learn, and it was fun. He has this massive cappuccino machine behind his bar, which made all these great coffee drinks. And I learned how to make an espresso martini, and I was just doing all the different things because, like we all know, people call off, people get sick. And even though I did not want to, I ended up going in the back, being a bartender, and looking up at Google to see how these drinks work, what to put in them, what to not put in them. And so that was fun. That was lots of fun. I love learning. I really love learning. And so when I finally surrendered and said, you're going to be here for a minute, you need to learn. So then I said, okay, I just started learning. And I did say, man, if I stayed here, I would get my license, man. I'd become a professional bartender and I'd be doing cocktail uh, pours and entertaining. It would be fun. But no, I'm not staying long enough to do that. But that's what I think I would like doing because it was a lot of fun. Learning how to measure out the drinks and that machine is awesome and it does everything. And so it was fun learning how to work that machine. And now we came home and I said, oh man, I need my cappuccino machine. Where's my cappuccino? And Rick's like, my coffee tastes just fine. My coffee tastes fine because we have a Keurig. He's like, my coffee tastes fine. I went, no, I need a cappuccino. And so it was just fun. We just laughed about it. But it's life is good. Life is good. I cannot complain. Our surge business is going good. People are coming on board. And like I said, we made, Rick, of course, was working it. And Juliet called us and while we were there. And so we got to talk to her a little bit. She was congratulating us. And she said, so you made the leaderboard. I went, oh, we did? And I said, oh, that's because Rick's still working the business. I'm pretty much helping my brother. So I haven't had time to do anything but learn how to roll silverware, learn how to work the cappuccino machine, mix drinks, and, just be a hostess, sit people, and show them how to bus tables. The little simple things. You would think that they had it, but the first young man who was the general manager really did not have the experience, and he needed somebody who can come in there. And what's so great about Rick and I and everybody on the call, you all know, if you don't know how to do something these days, all you have to do is Google it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. Even for espresso martini, the ingredients is right there on Google. They'll tell you exactly how much to put in it, what to put in it. And when you have everything right in front of you, you learn where everything is, and you can make a pretty good espresso martini. And then you grab a couple of coffee beans and place it on the top with the foam, and voila, you have a drink. So nothing is hard. You just have to have the ability and the knowledge to know where to find it. And you ask Google, you ask Siri, they will pull it up so fast. Even I was watching, I came home and I was just doing a lot of mindless television watching because I haven't been able to really watch. And I started watching Palm Royale. And the young lady was into this grasshopper drink. And I said, oh, grasshopper, what goes in that drink? So I asked Google, to tell me what goes in a grasshopper. And sure enough, there it is. So if I was behind the bar with all the stuff, I think the only thing I did not have is this cream something, and you can get it. You can even use mint ice cream if you didn't have this cream, and it would give you the same coloring and all that. So that was funny. I laughed when I said, oh, flying grasshopper. What goes in that? So I started Googling. But again, it's just learning. It's just the knowledge of knowing that, you can mix whatever you want as long as you know what goes in it. And then, of course, you need the right martini glasses and all that stuff. So along with all the other things that I learned, I have such an appreciation. And I've always done that. Rick and I have always been big tippers. But now watching the servers and how they count out those tips at the end of the day, and how some of them walk away with $500 to $600 as being a server. And it's like, yeah, they need that money because they're really not making enough other than the tips. The tips is what takes them over the top. And definitely in Page, where it's a tourist town, the tourists, they do tip very well, better than the locals. And that's what some of the servers said. It's not mine. I didn't know. I have not experienced that. but that's how they make their money. They make their money through tips. And so just knowing that, and then we went into a restaurant, and Rick goes, I guess you could rent this restaurant, huh? I said, sure can. Sure can. And even though we were a big tipper, we still tip because we know they walk home with that. And a lot of them use that to pay bills. And so it was fun. It was fun. It was definitely a learning experience. And what it did was, and I've always been one to always be learning, but I think I want to get into the physical learning, not too physical, but I want to learn how to make those sweet grass baskets. Okay. Those are the baskets that you'll see here in Charleston that the ladies are on the side of the road making them. You can go to the market and everybody makes those baskets. And I remember when Rick and I first got married, my mom said, Brenda, you need to get at least 4 or 5 of them baskets and take it home with you. And I'm looking at these baskets like, why? I have no space. How am I going to get these baskets home? Little did I know, and little I should have listened to my mom. These baskets are now running anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And when my mom was telling me that, and that was when Rick and I first got married, and that was over 40 years ago, those baskets were going for $20 to $35. And I didn't listen to her. I was like, I don't need those baskets. They don't fit with my decor. And I wish now I had listened to her just to have them, just to sit them around the house and put blankets in them and just to have them and just put little things in them. But I thought, I think I want to go and take a class now, and I want to learn how to make those baskets. And that's going to be fun. So Rick said, okay, go for it. And he did not volunteer to come with me to make baskets, but he was like, go for it. I think you can learn how to make the baskets very well. But it's little things like that that just keeps your mind going. And who knows who I'll meet. I'm out, I'm learning something new. There'll be people there who will teach you how to make the baskets. And so that's what I mean when I say always be learning something new. You'll be surprised how the people that you meet when you do something new. And I was talking to this one girl. Yes, go right ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't want to cut you off. You was talking to one girl.
I was getting ready to tell another story, but go right ahead.
Okay. What was so awesome, and by the way, hello, Ron. What was so awesome is when you talk about and you tell us learn something new, that becomes a way of life.
Yeah.
That you're always open. A closed mouth doesn't get fed, a closed mind doesn't get fed. But it opens you up to learning and taking the things that you have learned to apply it to the future. And so, in me watching you, in Page, Arizona, working in the restaurant business that you never worked in before, it just brought to me the fact that learning something new, you just like swallowed it up. You learned their toast system, which manages the seating and all the different things of the front of the house in the restaurant business. You became HR. You became everything that they needed. You became a personal counselor, a comforter, every single thing, a bartender, barista, every single thing that they needed, you actually was able to become. And all in all, you worked the floor, you became a server, you did everything in that restaurant to make it a success. And you brought in the healthcare system so that the workers had healthcare. And again, even if they don't understand it and it really actually does work, if they want to cancel it, they can cancel it, but you did your job to bring it in. And so that whole idea of learning something new, we mentioned that on the call, but folks have no idea, and I'm sure that you do, of how far that goes. All the things that we're learning in the business are not surge, they're life. And at some point in time in your life, it's going to come, it's going to bear fruit. Even networking, even just understanding how to work with people and the leadership that you provided, and for the Jamaica ladies that were there on this incredible, amazing, but weird kind of program, work program, where they flew in under this program from Jamaica to work in the U.S. and they were in the restaurant, and the system was almost like a slavery system, you know, where they brought them in and they were working and working and working. And they were there to work and send money home. I mean, yeah. But you comforted those ladies and provided them leadership here in United States, coming from Jamaica. All the skills, I saw all the skills that we have learned and talked about, not only on our team call and get, but also in the marketplace ministry call. I saw all of those skills come to bear. And so, when people are joining this call, I don't care who joins, but get on week to week, because you're learning a life skill that at some point in the future, you're going to be able to apply without even thinking. Glenn says it all the time. 10 years, 10,000 hours, you become that professional. You become that master of whatever skill set it is. Many of us on this call are masters in something, right? Even if you never sponsored a person, we're masters in something. I know the skill sets that I've been exercising on this call, even down to just doing the videos and turning the Zoom calls into YouTube videos. I was on a multi-million-dollar deal call this morning, and I set up the call. I learned how to set it up in Surge, in YTB. I'm managing this call just like we're doing right now. $1 million deals. These companies coming together, total synergy. It's going to be multiple millions, and we get an override. But the skill set that I'm learning, that I've learned in Surge and YTB, those skill sets apply across the board in managing meetings. Step up into your leadership, you know, whatever that leadership is. Learn how to do meetings, learn how and exercise it. Because I'm telling you, every skill set that you are learning here will take you to your next level. Don't be hesitant to learn something new, because that thing that you're learning new will be used in the future. And people will show up to get it from you. And if you've got it, to take it from you. So don't be afraid. Like Brenda's talking about baskets. Yeah, I'm not interested in going to a class, Ron. But if I need to, I will. But everybody's got their own little thing. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I'd like to congratulate you and Brenda and your brother. And the fact that you were able to go to Phoenix and do the to page to do that effort also demonstrates how much, excuse me, I have a little cough situation I'm dealing with, but you demonstrated uh, servant leadership over and over and over again. And that's why that restaurant's going to be successful. You've proven over again to each of us here on the call today why you're the leaders of such a fantastic group. And our ability to be a part of it is so special. Because of you, I'm going to put this up to the camera.
Oh, wow.
Lynn and I have been awarded another certificate for a week's stay somewhere in the world. Um, we think we're going to use this one, although we're using another one to go to Niagara Lake around Niagara Falls and at the end of the month. We're also going back to St. Augustine in September, and we're using that for our stay. And that's $1,500 in value. Um, yeah, see, we never would have had the kind of opportunities to do what we're doing if not for you and your leadership. We have such an opportunity. We got the golden goose, and people are looking for what we've got. And so I'm just real excited. And in spite of everything that happens, we can keep moving forward. And we're doing that. Thank you.
One of the things that, and Ron, you and Linda, you guys step out there too, always learning something new, willing to jump out there and to do something and then make it happen, which is pretty cool. Ron has been working with his church. And so, we've been doing the Vortex for a long time. And being able to go through the membership, I mean, to go through the presentations, you know, with Ed and, going through and talking to the high schools and preparing presentations for the grade schools and for churches. And so we're kind of perfecting this as we go. And so Ron said, "Hey, Rick, my church is now ready to," he goes on his cruise, comes back, says the church is ready to move forward with the Vortex. We need a presentation. And like, oh, okay. And it's no big deal because we've been doing this presentation like for like how many years, Ed and Ron? We've been doing these presentations and modifying it and modifying it and updating it and updating it. So I write up a presentation. There it is right there, Ron showing it. Resurrection Life, presentation to Resurrection Life. And it covers all the stuff that we need, right? And so Ron says, "Hey, Rick, I need you on the standby this past Sunday. The church is doing a meeting and they're going to be talking about the presentation, building community." And so I do the presentation. Ron sends it into the folks who are going to be managing it from the church. And the presentation really is self-explanatory. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, we're launching it, and now they have identified the reason that program is talking about building community. That's our next year's church goals, what they want to accomplish. Well, we have a very giving church. They've supported everything. We actually have the largest food bank in Buffalo, New York. We serve over 800 families a week, and now we've set it up so they can go shopping in our warehouse. They don't have to just come and get a bag. They can come pick out what they want. Well, we're going to expand that, and we're actually having a new community center. So instead of going to a restaurant to hold a Valentine's banquet next year, we can hold it at the church and have it catered. But the whole idea is that our church is a place, a center for helping people one to one, real people to real people. And, we don't just give lip service to it, we actually do it. And Lynn and I have become a vital part of the church. So when we presented the concept of the vortex to use, where, last Sunday, a week ago, I was just out of the hospital a couple days. When we were at church, people came up to us. It was nice because they've been sending food and praying. It was wonderful. But we had five different people come up to us and said, "Oh, we're going to go here. We're planning on going here. We want to do this. We haven't booked it yet. Ron, can we talk to you and Linda about it?" And I said, "Wait just another week because the school church is going to, now that they've done this, we can now say to everybody, this is the reason you join the program, building a community program. Whenever you spend money to travel, we're going to get churches get 100% of what you save, and you're going to save. And now you're going to be good stewardship. You're spending your money that's actually going to help us accomplish the goal of this church."
It's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. But that's what we have been perfecting, that story and going through the vortex and comparing the vortex on a monthly basis to Expedia and the prices to make sure that yes, what we're saying is true, that the prices are going to be lower than Expedia, and here are the savings, and you're going to earn 100% of whatever those savings are, along with the reward credits. And so we don't realize that this is life. The other thing that was pretty cool about something that just kind of all blended together, we went out a couple of years ago now, I guess Ron, and to Buffalo and to the Memorial Day service where we had Lynn Kane, Captain Lynn Kane, first Top Gun, original Top Gun, come out to Buffalo, on Ron's invitation, along with Mary and her family and the Boy Scout, the Scouts, or the Cub Scouts, and to Buffalo to plant flags and for the Memorial Day service. And so we had a chance to take a lot of pictures and video that. After the event, Ron and Linda took us up to Canada, Niagara on the Lake, and we did viewed, a lot of different, sites in Canada. And I made a
Food.
video of it. I made a video of that. And so fast forward to a couple of 3 weeks ago, Ron goes on the Hope Cruise, a cruise where he has Lynn Kane there. And Lynn Kane serves on the board of a company called Intiva. And he also had Jim Lyle there, who also is an advisor to Intiva. Huge company, number one company
Vice
providing
president.
a vice president. And I learned that he kind of secured as an investment banker the first 50 million to get that company up and running. And so we had a meeting, what about a week ago now, I guess, maybe. And so Ron introduces through Lynn Kane, me, who I work with multiple global businesses. And we bring in and introduce them to a company called Niner, which is a huge pharmaceutical that's trying to crack into the US market that does so many different things, so many products, I mean, their product line in pharma, big pharma. But anyhow, we connect through Ron and Lynn, this company Intiva, with this other company that is a big pharma company that's trying to crack into the US market. Intiva is number one in so many things, especially health gummy distribution systems. And this pharma company and them, they are going to team and do multiple $1 million in business. I say that to say everything that you're doing now, learning something new, stepping out, knowing your product, Surge 365, working through leadership, working through stumbling over the easy stuff, introducing yourself to people, maybe even setting up meetings, learning Zoom, learning your business. That all comes into play at some point in your future to the depth that you are willing to learn it and to learn something new. Somebody's going to come along where you go, ah. And so Ron connects all of this. So it'll be interesting to see as they come together and put together these multi-million-dollar deals where that goes. See, folks, this is not just Surge. This is relationships. This is people. This is you acquiring a skill set, you know, that is going to be useful and has a value in the future. What's interesting is how people stay in the same place, not realizing this is now the time, even if you have no business, to hone your skills, to learn your business. Even the vortex alone, you know, the money that comes from that, with the church coming on board, you know, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. We have an opportunity to become, those professionals that nobody knows more than you in your business, in your area of passion. See, the thing is, you can focus and identify your area of passion and then become proficient in that. It may be the marketplace ministry of application to Surge. It may be the Surge application to marketplace ministry. It may be leadership development. It may be personal relation. I mean, you can carve out and determine whatever it is. It may be travel. That may be it. What is it for you? It may be, I just want to travel. I just want to have fun. I want to use the OSHA membership and concierge and learn that. It may be, I want to build a huge team. I want to learn how to do the presentation or at least send it out, right? Whatever it is, you can create. And see, and that's what we're doing. We're creating our life. When I saw Brenda, when we went to Page, Arizona, helping her brother launch this business for the last 2 months, and the Holy Spirit empowering us to not even think about the life that we just now came back to, but to focus all of our skill sets entirely on Page, Arizona, and the things that we need to do to get this business up and running, and to apply even from a spiritual perspective, being able to take authority. So marketplace ministry even coming in to take authority over people that were in bondage. Man, you got to realize that God has you part of a bigger plan than we even know. And all we got to do is say, Lord, what shall it be? Back to you, Brenda. Or anyone. Brenda's probably
It always works. It always works when I hit
unmute.
the unmute. Yeah, that is so true, Rick. And see, another thing people have to realize is you have skills. You have skills. Whatever it is, you have skills. It's just learning where to direct your skills, because I always say I don't really have any skills. I don't know what I would do. I need to learn something. That's what I would say. I need to learn something. Well, one of my skills is that I know how to learn. I know how to learn something. And so when you figure out how you learn, I was training one guy who works at a bank, and he wants to work at night because my brother, he wants to work at night at the restaurant. And I was telling him I was creating a step-by-step little book on how to cash out your drawer and all this stuff, step by step. And he said, oh, that's really good, but the way I learn is I have to actually do it. I have to push the buttons and do what I need to do. And that's how he knows how he learns. And I told him, I said, that's great, but just imagine if you pushed the button and looked at what the next step was, and then you push the button, and then you looked at the next step, and then you push the button. So you always have something written down, cash draw, payout, withdrawal, countdown, and you have the steps written down, and you look at the steps, and then you do the steps. And he was like, well, yeah. I said, because see, that way, you look at the steps, you do the steps, you're creating two things. You're seeing the moves and you're doing the moves. I said, and then just imagine if you had someone telling you the steps. So now you're seeing it, hearing it, and doing it. He was like, wow. He was like, wow. I said, then that way, it won't take you that long to learn them. If you're just doing it, then the next day, you have to remember what you did. But just imagine if you had it already written down and you do it. And then before you know it, you're learning it and you're remembering it faster. So learning how you learn is a big, big step on learning things. My brother, he's a visual learner. He doesn't feel he's a strong reader. I told him he is, but he doesn't believe me. So he feels that he has to hear things now to learn. So whatever you feel, that's how it is, because we're a believer and words are powerful. So if that's what you're going to say, that's what you are. But even learning how you learn is something to learn, because once you master the skill to know how I learn, you can learn anything. You can learn anything. A lot of times people are being taught something the way that the person who teaches it learns. But if you're teaching it to someone who does not learn that way, they're not going to grasp it. And they're going to look at you like, wow, this is hard. I don't think I could ever learn this. Well, no. If you put it in a format to where you can learn it no matter what it is out there. I remember I told my kids when they were getting ready to take their driver's test, they were nervous about it. No, I don't know. Oh, Mom, because we put them in school. We did everything we needed to do to get them to take their test. And of course, they were a little apprehensive. Oh, Mom, I got to take the test. You'll be fine. And then I said, you see all them crazy people out there driving? They all had to take the test. So if they took the test and passed it, why won't you take the test and pass it? I said, they have nothing on you. And that's pretty much what I have told my kids, even for myself. I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter for the first time, and some of the ladies I worked with took me out to lunch, and they asked me, were you scared? Are you nervous? And I went, well, no, a lot of women have done this. And I thought, and I was just joking, but it was true. A lot of women have done this. So I'm thinking, if all the other women can do it, I think I can do it too. So it's all how you look at it. It's all how you look at what's in front of you. And the same thing with Surge 365 and the different levels in our business. That it's not what is the word I'm looking for? It's something that other folks have done. People have earned the $5,000. People have earned the $10,000, the $100,000, the $50,000. People have earned those things. People have earned bonus. People have made different. We have ambassadors. We have directors. So it's not like it's something that has never been done. It has been done. So all you need to do is find out, for one, if you want to do it. That's the main thing. Because if you don't want to do it, you're not even going to try to learn how to do it. And but then realize that if it's something you want to do, what is going to work for you to get there? You might not do it the way Arlen has done it, or Nick, or Vaughn, or whoever, Stacy. You might not do it the way they've done it, but find out how it will work for you to do it. If it's something you want to do. See, that's the key. Just like Rick said, I don't know if I want to go do no basket. So he will never learn how to do baskets. But
I wouldn't say never. I wouldn't say
well,
never.
okay.
Yeah, because here's what I would do. Here's what I would do, and I would learn how to do baskets like real quick because I learned everything, right? I would go on YouTube and I would watch how they do it on YouTube.
Right.
And believe you me, I could create a basket even today because that's how I.
Well, you know what I think we should do? I think
Lord,
because I did think of that. Wait a minute, no. I did think of that. I did think to go on YouTube and watch it because YouTube is really great. It has a lot of little step by step.
Hey, that's why.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the sweetgrass.
Honey,
you can do anything, I know it.
Honey, that's
so
why I can do anything because I know how to learn. I'm a master researcher.
That's right.
I am.
Yes,
that's why I can do anything. I could walk into any situation and I could take over that situation because I know how to learn.
Yes.
See, the basic skills in life are, like you said, when you learn how you learn, when you can see it, hear it, do it, when you can research how others have done it to understand best practices. See, this is how I made over $1 million in Surge 365 YTV because I learned how to learn. And I was able to teach the leaders who came to me, and they snatched it from me because they knew their stuff and how to build. I knew my stuff and how to
true.
teach. I gave them. So
that is so
intentional. True. This didn't just happen. This is intentional. And see, this is why we'll make millions in overrides with these big companies I'm working with, because I know how to learn and I know what's important for them and I know how to teach and I pass on the skills. And then they take it, I override it. So, but that's my method of operandi. So if I needed to learn how to make baskets, I would become a multi-million-dollar basket producer. I learned how to learn to teach the women that I could actually pull in place to weave the baskets. Back to you.
Greetings.
Go ahead, Chantel.
Hello. Love hearing your voices, feeling like you're rested, sitting down, as we are also. And it's just a phenomenal time. It's all about how we perceive a thing.
Now that's the truth.
I'm going to read this quote from Tyler Perry.
True.
Don't let your worry be greater than your faith. Because people are really quiet sometimes. And when people get quiet, I say, what are we thinking about?
Hey, repeat that again. Say that again. Repeat that again.
Don't let your worry be greater than your faith. That's Tyler Perry. He just posted that. And this is another
Mm-hmm.
thing he posted. Um, I just clicked on billionaire quotes, and this is what Tyler said. He says, "I don't chase money. I go out here and I serve and help people. Period." That's all he said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so for me, in the light of, in lieu of where we are in this world time, um, there could be something, because people are really, when people get really quiet, I'm like, okay, what is the world thinking about? Don't get caught up in what the world is thinking about, because that right there is, it's a snare right now. What is your passion? Who is it that you love greatly? What is the thing that gets you up above the pain you're in? That's another thing he talks about. What is going to get you up above that? If you're dealing with that, get above that. Because I'm living that real time, people. Okay? Every day. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm feeling like this right here, but my faith says you got to get up. Why? Because of the little girl I stood in front of yesterday, called the granddaughter, going to high school and looking at her eyeballs and says, because of you, I'm going to keep getting up. Who in the world in your life is important enough? Because if it's not you, if you don't like to travel, and if you don't like to travel, do you need a refreshing? The whole world needs a refreshing. Everybody needs a refreshing right now. We one of our team builders, Jason Sims, his vision was to take children all across the world to have an experience. And then life shows up. And this is what I'm talking about. That's still his vision. So you have to find a way. You got to go within, and you them affirmations and that personal development is not an option. It is essential. It is essential that you pour into yourself. It's essential that you talk to yourself. It is essential that you tell yourself we're winning. Period. No matter what it looks like, no matter what it's feeling like. I'm getting up today. I'm going to put on my clothes. I'm going to get dressed because somebody is going to see a smile today. It's not about my feelings. Because if you really want to know my feelings, it's not what I'm looking like right now. But when you make a decision to bring hope, you're going to have to get in those shoes. You're going to have to wear the shoes. Pastor Gordon, Banks, over here in Israel, you're going to have to wear the shoes. Because life is real deal. And so when life bangs up on you, what is that thing in you that gets you up for real, for real? And don't think about it too long. Just do it. Just do it. Back to you, Rick and Brenda.
You know, anybody else? You know, when you were saying, don't get caught up in the world, the whole world is a distraction. And Brenda had brought this up when we was in Page, and we were just saying how our life was totally in the restaurant, and how successful the restaurant is and is becoming. With all the things in life that's happening all around in the world and the news, and nothing has nothing to do with nothing but your focus. And the restaurant doing its $11,000 day, just doing breakfast and lunch, and all the things that was happening in the restaurant, and all the focus in helping them to be successful had nothing to do with the world. What has your attention? What has your attention right now? Because where you put your attention, it has you. We put our attention in the restaurant, and the restaurant thrives, and the restaurant's growing, and the restaurant is, shaking out all the things, the weeds, and what has your attention? Is it the world? Is it, whatever it may be? Where you place your attention is what has you. And if you want to be successful, you can place your attention and do affirmations on that, and do visualization on that, and live in the end of what you are visualizing, and learn even more of what that is that has your attention, and watch what happens. This restaurant
You
has
know, Rick, real quick,
go right no go
you
right
remember
ahead
that
go right ahead.
saying, you remember that saying, wherever your attention goes, energy flows?
Yes.
Remember we heard that? And that is very true. So that, along with learning something new, what Chantel just said, that was a powerful quote. You cannot let your woes be bigger than your faith. You have to realize that this too will pass, whatever it is. And even though there was some times there where I was like, oh Lord Jesus, am I ever going to leave these people? But God knew that, yeah, you're falling in love with these people because you want them to be successful, you want them to succeed. But yeah, there'll be a time where you will go. And so, and even for us, there's times for us to do what we need to do. And like Rick said, you know, all his skills from all this thing, being a master learner, a master researcher, those are words that he speaks constantly. He says it in a minute. I'll be able to figure it all out. And he calls his friend. He calls his friend up in a minute, and he'll ask his friend a question, and his friend will just give him the complete answer. And that's AI. And it's all about how you ask the question. See, even for me, being able to go and ask, how do I prepare? See, I didn't say make. I said, how do I prepare a espresso martini? And my friend gave me all the things that go in one and exactly how to do it. So it gave me the ingredients. It told me to put the ice in the shaker, shake vigorously because you want to create the foam on the top, and pour it into a martini glass. See, if you ask the right question, you're going to get the answer on how it's done. So that's the key. When you're setting out on learning something or doing something new, see, I'm ready to go to a class and interact with people to learn how to make a basket, but Rick is just going to do a YouTube video and see how it's done. So what works for you? How do you do it? It's all up to you. And just not being quiet, like Chantel said, don't sit back and start thinking, because that's the one thing we don't need to do. We get quiet and start thinking, oh my goodness, then another thought, especially if the thoughts are bad thoughts, then the thoughts get even worse. Before you know, you're coughing, trying to figure, oh, why I'm coughing, oh, my hip hurts. See, you have to make sure you guide your mind, your thoughts, and stay in the positive. And it's not a easy thing, but it's not a hard thing.
You know,
and
Brenda,
it's as easy as you want it to be. Yes, go right ahead.
what was very, very interesting in observing you in Page, Arizona, at the Rustic Thistle restaurant, with the layout and the situation where we arrived, even before we went, the Lord gave you a vision of what to do. And he didn't overwhelm you, but one at a time, the things that you saw, we did. The things that you saw, we did. In the back of the restaurant, where all the management offices are going to be, the construction folks had made it a construction work site where they had all their tools and all the junk and garbage and everything else. We walked through there, and Brenda said, okay, Rick, I need to make you an office in here so you can come in to work. And so we picked out a room and we made that our office. Now that has become the major office in the restaurant for the management side. But Brenda came in and said, why is all this construction material here and steel here? And she started working with those contractors saying, you need to get your act together, get this junk out of here. And we need to finish the floors back here. And we need to put the electricity in, and we need to clean this place up. And boy, she put on a bulldog hat and a bullhorn, and she rode them folks. They couldn't help but clean that whole place up. When we left, the floors were laid, the ceiling was in place, everything was laid out. Brenda had a bullwhip. And she whipped these contractors, but she saw what it should look like. And I'm telling you, now it looks that way like she saw. And then the next thing that she saw to do, and the next thing that she saw, God gave her a vision, one step at a time, of everything that should be done. And then she did it. And then she did it according to the vision. And when she saw in real life what she saw in the vision, it was complete. And then she went to the next. And then she went to the next. And she filled in where she needed to fill in. She saw that they needed help behind the bar, for the barista and making the drinks. She saw it and then filled in. And then it was complete. She saw that they needed help in the front office and managing this and managing that and bringing people. She saw it and then she did it and it was complete. And she went from one thing to the next. And of course, the Lord gave me the marketing side and advertising side. I saw it to put in the TV hanging from the ceiling mount. And the contractor, we've been waiting until even now. And so I'm like, okay, where's the tool? Let's put this ceiling so we mount in, so we can mount this TV that points out so that people walking by the front window of this restaurant can see all the good foods on this video we're going to create. The videos for the YouTube videos that I created in Surge and YTV, I was able to create videos for the restaurant. Every single thing that you see, you can do. Now, question, do people see it? And then what is the translation to the doing? Where does it fall apart? Because I believe everybody can see it. But why is it that the people, what is it that prevents people who have been given a vision to see something from actually doing it? Anyone?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Hello.
But it was, go right ahead, honey.
Sometimes I'm thinking with people, I'm just living in the real world. It could be overwhelmed because if you're focusing on today, which is a lot going on today, that written vision, I'm telling you, will help you focus on what's in my future, what's coming, where we're going. Because in lieu of today, you could sit in your house and be like, I'm not going outside. But what has to happen for me? It's got to be personal. I'm going outside. I'm going to walk down the street. That because I'm letting you know we're in this space and you do not own this. So every time we take a step, we are putting our foot on territory. And I'm telling you, some of this stuff is spiritual. Okay, we know this is not a spiritual call, but some of this stuff is spiritual, and we're gonna have to
Yeah.
face ourselves. And if you call it a giant, I just say step over that joker. But right now, there's some stuff we got to face inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
I was having that conversation with 3 people yesterday, and I'm just listening, watching people, and they're asking me these questions. Well, how do you do this? How do you do that? They said, because you've been through some tough stuff. I said, you know what? You're right. I said, but you know what? I chose to live beyond that. I choose that this legacy is living through us. I choose to get up and serve life. I could sit in my chair all day long and look out the window. It's a beautiful sight out there. But I want to taste that. I want to smell that air. I want to put my foot on the ground. I want to sit in that water. There is some things. I'm going to find it today because Rick gave us the spiritual warfare um prayers, and one of the parts I heard it coming out of me this morning. I don't care what's inner me or outer me, cannot allow that to rule. So you have to speak the things ahead of you. You have to call it forth about what we're speaking out our mouth. And what we're saying in our mind is real to us. So if I start speaking, no matter what kind of inner, no matter what's outside of me, we are going to win. But we got to speak that forth so it can come. And then your mind starts saying, all right, that's right, that's right, that's right. I'm getting up. Yes, I'm a winner. Winners, because winners win. It is to me, and I'm over here in one of my tablet, 2016. Know what's in here? This list. And this is the heartbeat of your leaders over here. Always. Um, taking Ed Taylor to team builder, taking Deborah um to team builder, taking this person. It's not all about us. See, that thing right there gets you up because you're like, okay, what's going to happen with their families when we help them win? It's got to get outside of just me and what I'm feeling. It's got to be greater. And then you will override. That's how it happens. We have to override that thing, whatever that thing is that's trying to block you. We have to speak something greater in us that is going to override that, whatever that is, and take that step. Take the step anyway, because you deserve this. Stop telling yourself you don't like to travel. Go get in a staycation just to feel what that room feels like, because you deserve it. You deserve it. We have some of the most beautiful hotels, beaches in the world up in this place. Tomorrow, the team is invited to a Taiwan tourism board. Thank you, Adrian, and some of the other ones that received that. And you know what? They sent us a message. See, you can override yourself, because when an opportunity comes and you say yes, you're overriding you. They said, we have some more spaces left. So if some of your other agents would like to come, please give them this link. Another opportunity in the traveling tourism industry to feel that feeling around the energy. Back.
Wow, that's good. That's good. I
Powerful.
love those events. Yeah, because it feels
We
like you're
love those
actually there when
events.
you go to those events.
We put
Yes,
cards
we
in
do,
and
and we
always
win every
win.
time. And I know our team gonna win something. Oh wow, that was good. Anybody else?
Congratulations to
Wow.
Chris for signing up a person from last meeting.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you, thank you. We actually, she's trying to hit the ground running. She's doing better than a lot. She had somebody on Charles's Zoom Tuesday night. We got ghosted after that, and then she was on Delvy's last night, and I'm sure she'll be on one either by herself or with the guests tonight as well.
Awesome.
She's
Yes.
uh she's ready to run. She's figuring things out, and it's funny listening to her. We always talk about repetition and things like that, and she's like, man, I don't know if it's just hearing this more and more, or if it's just, I don't know if it's this or if it's that, but this makes more sense than that did, and that makes more sense than this did. Like it's all coming together mentally for her. So I'm hoping everything we've been trying to put plans together, and it's like you said a minute ago. It's helping this person get to this, helping this person get to that. It's like I'm, focused more on her than I am myself right now, which I know will pay off for both of us at some point. So it, it's
Awesome.
I like that plan because that's where we're at right now.
And one of the major things is, and this is so true, your inner conversation, your outer world is a reflection of your inner conversation. And you can tell people's inner conversation based on observing their outer world, because it is a creation. And if the inner conversation and the vision and the goals and what you can see changes, then the outer world changes. If the inner conversation stays the same, you'll see that reflected in their reality. When you hear me say I make millions through overrides and referrals, that's an inner conversation that creates my outer reality beyond Surge 365. Beyond Surge 365. It's a life thing. What is your inner conversation to life? And then of course, Surge 365, but your family, or your situation, or your job, if you have a job, for anything. That's why Brenda and I can go into totally hostile territory in Page, Arizona, and take dominion because we have a solid inner conversation that influences, that changes things, that moves things to go into a hostile situation. Believe me when I say a hostile situation and totally change that situation based on an inner spiritual inner conversation that changes things. That's what everybody has before them on this call. You know, you actually can change your outer reality by changing what you believe, what you declare, what you decree, what you say to yourself. I can look at a person and tell their inner conversation based on what I see in their outer reality. Why? Because it is a mirror. Back to you, Brenda.
Wow, that is so true. Anybody else? Because you guys know we can chat. Anybody else?
I got one real quick on that one, Rick. I don't know if anybody was on Coach A's call Sunday night, but we were on it and her link got hacked. And so some bot was just talking smack on her, on the company, everything. And she had the same smile you always see on her face the entire time. And, there's people, like different people that I know in the business that were like, get this person off. The chat's just lighting up. Kick this so and so off. That's where it's coming from. Kick them off. And it was funny. Like I was just amazed. I was like, and Coach A, she finally took a pause and she's like, okay, we're getting rid of so and so. And once they got that whatever the person was off the call, it was fine. But her smile didn't fluctuate the entire time. And I was like, man, because like the first time it hit, she was like talking about the company. And I hadn't listened to any of her Zooms before, and it hit kind of weird. It wasn't really. She was saying how good we were, and you hear this bot kind of go like, "Oh yeah, right," or something like that. And I thought it was like, she was saying what people would say at first, but then it ended up being it was this bot chat whatever just kept going and going, and that's when I realized like, oh, that wasn't planned. That was just something that got in. But like I said, she just ran with it, and like she just mowed right through. She didn't pause. She didn't stop. If it was talking, it was trying to talk over her, and she was talking the same the whole time. And it was, I don't know if she recorded or not, but it was a very interesting Zoom that we had. But it just amazed me that she just smiled.
You're doing, you're doing great when stuff like that starts happening.
Yeah, and like
doing good.
And her face did not fluctuate before or after that. Like anytime the thing's trying to talk over, I'm watching her on the little camera part, and she just smiling away like I'm doing my thing. You're not going to disrupt me.
That's true.
Awesome.
It's true.
Awesome.
We know it's true.
Thanks for sharing that. That was good.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you. All righty. Anybody else? Wow. Well, we're right at, you know how we can chat, but I enjoy talking with everyone, and I love how everybody chimes in and shares their story, because we are, and like we all know, the #1 team in Surge 365, and we're winners. We're builders. We're movers and shakers. And I want everybody to have a great rest of your day. And do join the presentation this evening. Rick always does a great job of putting it out there so you'll remember the Zoom so you can get on. But again, everybody have a great rest of your day. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the water, the beaches of the world. Okay, bye-bye now.
Adios.